Biggest movie star in the world decides to do his next film based on your life changes. It gets strange, man. I'll never forget recently, going on a vacation, first one in a long time. My office does not know where I'm going. I got no BlackBerry, no cell phone. I'm out of here. Get on the plane, get nice and comfortable, and I say to the flight attendant, hey, what's the movie? Is that strange? That's qualified. And anytime I see any piece of that film, I have the exact same thought. Those people spent $70 million to recreate what I did with nothing. That is strange, man. That's qualified. If I have one regret with this whole experience, my one regret is the little boy, James Smith, should have been nominated for an Academy Award. That little boy is special. He was bright. That little boy has got more talent in his big toe than Will Smith got in his whole body. What do y'all go agree with me? This whole part of my life started because I very reluctantly agreed to do one interview with Barbara Walters on 2020. They came to me because they knew I was still active in the church and the homeless shelter in San Francisco that had been so important to my son and I at a critical time in our lives. And originally I said no thank you. I was concerned. My concern was they wanted to do a piece about somebody with some money, some toys, and some stuff. No thank you, bigger than that, not interested. We had further conversations. I expressed my true feelings, which works. If you want to do a piece about someone who's tried to do something with their life, with their family, and in their community, then I'm all for it. The resulting piece apparently was pretty good. It ran on a Friday night, but before we got there, I had to agree to do something I now know I would never agree to do again. I had to agree to let people follow me with television cameras for 3 days. Follow me from New York to Chicago to San Francisco, then they cut it down to 17 minutes. And we all know how that works. Could have been a whole different piece. And there's something about Barbara Walters saying your first and last name and you don't know what she's going to say next that makes you pay attention. That thing ran on a Friday night. On Monday morning, the phone jumps off the hook. Got invitations to be on all of these great national television programs from people who did not know my name until the previous Friday night. So that's an easy no. Took another phone call from a guy in a place I affectionately call Holly Weird. This guy gets me on the phone, and he's got a great idea, he thinks. He wants to do a reality TV show based on homeless people. Wants me to be the judge. Okay? True story. Wants to take some homeless people off the street, clean them up, give them a job, and the one who goes on to do the most with their life is going to get a $500,000 house, $500,000 in cash, and all this other great stuff put up by sponsors. I cannot repeat in public what I said to that man. Rachel, I can't do it. But the gist of it was, homelessness is not a game. But if you think it is, I already won, so send me my money. Never heard from him again, all right? Like everybody else in here, I got a pretty intense day job. I decide I'll take one more of these calls, and I got to get to work. Guy gets me on the phone. He's clear, concise, compelling. He says pretty much the following. I'm a producer. I'm in the movie business. I'm not the biggest name in the business, but if you come out to L.A. and take a meeting, lost me right there. What the hell does that mean? Look, I'm from Chicago. I might take a train, I'll take a bus, take a nap, take a break. I ain't gonna take a meeting. The point I'm trying to make is I'm not believing any of this stuff. Get out to Southern California, meet all these people, they tell you all these great stories. Then we met a group of guys from an outfit called Escape Artists. Steve Tisch, Todd Black, and Jason Blumenthal. The second I sat down with them, I knew these are the guys. If anything happens, it's going to happen with these guys. It came up in the meeting that I had said no to an invitation to be on a certain television show. And it was Steve Tisch who asked me, he says, Why would you say no to that? That's the biggest TV show in the world. I couldn't think of another way to answer, so I leaned into the guy and I asked him, you ever see that movie Forrest Gump? He says, yeah, I saw that. I went on to explain there was a scene in the film where Forrest inadvertently stumbled into an anti-war rally. They wanted him to speak out against the Vietnam War, but somebody pulled the plug. When they jacked it up, what you heard Forrest say is, that's all I've got to say about that. That's how I felt. Wrap the meeting up, get in the elevator. The guy who had set the meeting up looks at me and says, Chris, by the way, Steve Tisch produced Forrest Gump. I said, no. Wait, think about that for a second. Forrest Gump won 6 Oscars, was the 3rd highest grossing film in history, and I'm asking a man, had he seen his own movie? That is what sealed the deal right there. But they knew this boy's the last Okie from Muskogee. He ain't got no idea who we are. Will Smith's name came up, and I was totally not feeling it. Totally not. I remember sitting, I'm talking with my children, I'm explaining, well, we think Will Smith, we think big, blockbuster outer space. This is about inner space, not outer space. It was my daughter who broke it down for me when she says, Papa, look, don't worry. If he can play Muhammad Ali, he can do you. Man, I was crushed. How do you become homeless? Let's talk about that. How do you become homeless, working on Wall Street with a baby child on your back? How does that happen? 2 things, 3 things. Number 1, was it drugs? No. Was it alcohol? No. There's something just as lethal as both of them. It's called life. Life happens. I don't want to be right, but I will say this. We are probably beginning to see more and more stories that I'm going to share with you playing out just like this right now, due to situations in our country. But as a young guy, 23 years of age, I had an opportunity to go to work for one of the